Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it has been a while since I did a last update. I think my last update in terms of health would have been a few months ago, maybe in Jan, after I got back from Italy and went through a whole first round of fun trying to find out some of the underlying root causes of my issues and illnesses and challenges. But it is now March the 11th. And we are slowly getting there, team. Now, it has been a journey. It has been a struggle. It has not been all lows. It's been, a whole bunch of highs too. I think over the last 2 months, I guess even year to date this year, I have gone through some profound shifts, mentally, physically. Obviously I look a little bit different. I'm not super stage lean anymore. I've gained some body fat, which is much needed. And with that, things have changed in terms of training, in terms of, macro tracking or not macro tracking. Lots to update you on. But I think in a nutshell, what I can report on is that I finally am starting to get some answers. So for so long, I never had some hard truths, hard facts to understand what was going on. And now I'm finally getting there, or at least we're taking a baby step forward. So over the last couple of months, I have been trying to do a lot of my own testing in addition to working with my general GP. My GP was great in the start in the sense that he was helping me get some blood work done, just like assessing against all the normal levels that they do test you for in your local doctor, surgery, or even hospital. And there we obviously identified that I had some really low female reproductive hormone levels. My LH and FSH levels were undetectable. And that wasn't such a surprise since I haven't had my menstrual cycle in over a year. It will be well over a year now. It's probably about almost coming up a year and 6 months soon. And previous to that, I had always had very irregular periods. So that was one thing that my doctor was a little bit concerned about, given that it was obviously amenorrhea for such a long time, which just simply means without a period in doctor's terms. But in addition to that, when I had my blood work done in November, I probably mentioned in my previous video that I had very low kidney filtration rates. And actually I've found out recently that I was in acute renal failure back then in November, which means that my kidneys were failing for someone at 28 years old, which is quite crazy. There was some reason to potentially suggest that it could have been due to a higher protein intake, that my body was just not able to digest and filter out the toxins and whatnot. But that was a symptom. That was not the underlying root cause. And moving forward, you'll probably hear me talk a lot about underlying root causes, because through this whirlwind that I've been through, I've really sort of taken that step back and really dug deep into understanding, okay, what is going on, because I can no longer just treat these top line symptoms of, I have a headache, take some ibuprofen for it, or drink some extra water, because that was just a symptom that was a manifestation of an underlying root cause, which is what has led to everything coming into play. Likewise with things like excess swelling, face swelling, things like that, digestion, bloating, those issues are all symptoms of an underlying root cause. And so what I have done now, in addition to working with my GP, I went to see an endocrinologist with my GP, which was good, but not very helpful. No disrespect to them and specialists and the doctors here in the UK and the healthcare system, but I know that they are obviously super swamped, and it just felt like going to that appointment, which I had to wait 3 months for the appointment for, was kind of a waste of time, if I'm really just frank and honest. Coming out of that, I did find out that I have hypothyroidism. So hypo is when you have an underactive thyroid, which I did suspect anyway due to things that are going on, but I just needed that. I needed testing. I needed the facts before I even went down that route, because I'm just not someone to jump on something without really knowing. So I guess that was one thing that came out of it, but unfortunately I didn't need to go to that appointment to find that out realistically. I found it out in the doctor's notes afterwards. But in addition to that, I have undergone my own lab testing. So I've consulted with some labs in the US, who I was referred to by a practitioner, an integrative health practitioner, and naturopath, functional medicine doctor, who I've been following for many years now, and really been leaning into the resources, the education, and everything they've got in their clinic in the US. So I've requested some labs to do with my full hormone panel, so I can dive into more than just your baseline that I've done with my general GP here, but also food sensitivity testing. And then I've also found a functional medicine clinic in the UK that would do a stool test for me to understand the GI mapping of my gut microbiome, because I couldn't do that with the US because I couldn't ship the sample back, which makes sense. So those were the three main things that I really wanted to do to understand: one, the state of my gut, and then two, my true hormone levels, and then three, food sensitivities. And what I plan to do is start to share a lot of the information that I'm going through, and that I'm absorbing, and that not all of it will apply to me, but it will apply in general, to really share with you what I am learning. Because I think over the last 2 months, I have literally just sort of like cracked open my whole skull and my whole brain, and I've been absorbing so much more information that I'm finding incredibly interesting. But I think it's just something that, it's a lot of information that people don't necessarily know. It's not widely shared unless you go looking for it, and I think that's a barrier that I would like to play my part in trying to break down, at least with my small community. If it makes a difference for one person or one piece of information might help somebody, I would like to pay that forward. So that's what I plan to do. But essentially for me, going through with those 3 different labs was really going to cover off a majority of the basis that I can get to the root cause of my issues. Now, this will sort of make sense as I start to share information, because what I have found is that obviously a lot of people these days have heard of the gut-brain axis, which is where your gut and your brain are very much interconnected. But when you really explore that, it goes so much deeper. Your gut is literally, they say that the nervous system is the master controller. I would like to call the gut the master controller, because it literally controls everything. It controls, and it's heavily linked to hormone production and function, and therefore where I'm seeing those reproductive hormones low or non-existent, yes, it is due to having low body fat or being, out of that range, and my body being like, you do not have the environment to harbor, grow, harvest a baby. Yes, that's one thing, but also it is to do with the state that my gut microbiome is probably, and it is quite out of whack. So my body is not able to create those functions that so many, enzymes and nutrients and the absorption and everything, pretty much they begin or exist within the gut and the different pathways and transformation that happens in there. So with that being said, I haven't got my hormones and my food sensitivity lab results back from the US yet. I'm really hoping to get them next week before I leave, because the second part to this video will be another sort of update on something else that's happening, that's quite exciting. But I have had my gut results back, and in addition to finding out the hypothyroidism piece of the puzzle, I have found out that I have quite a few different things going on in my gut. So I'd already worked with the naturopath that had identified that he was almost 100% certain that I had a candida overgrowth. I have candida confirmed on my lab results. I have a parasite. I have a bunch of smaller minor bacterial infections. And the main cause of, well, not the main cause, but the main factor is that I have a leaky gut. Now, leaky gut is essentially intestinal permeability, and that is where the walls of your gut have started to separate, they've started to separate, and toxins and bacteria are flowing through your gut wall and into your bloodstream. So leaky gut is also very heavily linked to SIBO or SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which I also have. So bloating, distension, unable to digest food, discomfort, all that, malabsorption, one main red flag that the functional medicine doctor wrote on my report was that I have malabsorption of fats, malabsorption of water, malabsorption of nitrogen, which is protein, and malabsorption of sugars, which is carbohydrates, which is any kind of carbohydrate, whether it's a grain or vegetables. So clearly, when my body was trying to absorb nutrients, nothing was happening there. Hence, if you're not able to absorb the nutrients, you're not able to trigger off any of those, functions and enzymatic reactions in your body to keep you feeling, looking healthy, functioning properly. There we go. So that's one thing that I'm working through. The functional medicine doctor has been quite helpful in that they've given me a bit of a protocol to take on board, including more supplements. Mostly natural supplements. Well, it's all natural supplements to not only treat the parasites, or essentially starve off the parasites in the candida, but also sort of treat and heal that gut wall. But they've also given me diet protocols to follow. Things like the low FODMAP diet is apparently going to be my number one. So at the moment, I can't really jump into a supplement protocol because I will be away for 4 weeks in a foreign country and out of my usual routine, and without the availability to sort of really but be on top of my nutrition in the way that I want to be. So I'm going to have to take a back seat for the moment with that and just take a moment to do what I can and then tackle it when I get back. But it does give me time to get back my hormone and food sensitivity results, because the food sensitivity results will be a game changer in terms of pairing that with what I do when entering a protocol to heal my gut. Because essentially you can do any protocol you want to heal your gut, but if you are still ingesting those foods that you have food sensitivity to, it's not going to work. It's not going to work as well. You're still going to be really uncomfortable and in pain until you heal that gut, which then in turn can heal that reaction. Because to be honest, through my studies, what I am learning, and I'm taking out my own studies where I've actually enrolled in a course, it might take me around a year or two to become fully certified, but I'm learning how to become a functional, not a functional medical practitioner, but an integrative health practitioner, which can deal with functional medicine labs. And through that, what I have found is that yes, disease and autoimmune diseases exist, and a lot of them do begin in the gut. Almost all of them begin in the gut, but they're not irreversible. And although it feels like it's magic, it's not. It's just a way that Western medicine doesn't look at things nowadays. So I'm super excited to dive more and more into that, and I plan to heal myself, and then I plan to help heal others. But that is going to be a longer journey. And as I say this right now, a rainbow has just appeared in front of me, which I think is so beautiful, because it's so symbolic that through the rain and the tough times, which it's been freaking tough and challenging, there is a silver lining, and I truly, really, really believe that. There's also a double rainbow. I truly believe that. I think that it is so true. And I even, throughout the hardest of the days, I've known that I am going through this experience to learn, to grow, to retrain, and just pull apart everything that I thought what it was. And then to help spread that awareness, to help share my story in case it helps, like I said, one other person feel less alone or have some form of hope. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at right now. As I said, I'm super keen to continue to share more and more of this experience and everything that I learn along the way. So let me know in the comments if there's anything specific that you want to learn or want me to dive into more. But once I am back from my couple of weeks off soon, I will really sort of dedicate and hopefully, dive into bits and pieces, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly, a video just to dive into different rocks. And then obviously once I get my lab results back, I'll have a better picture of the puzzle and hopefully more pieces of the pie together, that I'll be able to really sort of make sense of it all. But I'm really grateful for where I'm at right now. Today is a good day. I think this morning I was battling a pretty bad headache, but it's decided to subside a little bit, so that's good. So I just take it as it comes. But yeah, thank you for listening. I will keep you updated, and I'll probably be releasing a video in a couple of days sharing some really exciting things that are coming up, a really exciting 4-week trip that's coming up, and I hope to bring you along for the journey because that one is going to be fun. But nonetheless, thank you for listening, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy this and do enjoy my channel, because it really helps me. And yeah, again, leave any comments below that you want to see more of, and I will ensure to include it. But thank you so much for your time, guys, and I wish you all the best. Love and light. Bye.